Welcome to a special edition here at Fortress of Faith. You are paying attention to the news. Iran and Israel have been at war now for about 5 days. Israel is attempting to try to completely destroy their nuclear capabilities and threats to Israel. We're going to break into some of the details that's going on in the war, some things that have happened, some things that are not really getting explained on your news feed. And I want to get into some of that here today, some background, what's going on in Iran, what this means. What if this is the end of the Ayatollah Khamenei and his reign as the supreme leader, the IRGC? What if all that comes to an end? What's next? There's a saying, sometimes it's best to keep the devil that you know than to trade him for the devil that you don't know. Is this going to put Israel in a worse state, or is there going to be hope? I think you'll find in this broadcast that there'll be hope for Iran. So we're going to be talking about the subject. Is this going to be the end of the Islamic Republic in Iran? I believe so. I think it's on the horizon. Probably going to happen real soon. It may even be happening before I really get this video up online and edited. We need to know that in the Middle East, Iran has become the menace of the Middle East. One of the interesting things that we'll talk about here today, why the Arabs are staying out of this. In fact, actually, the Arabs and other Muslim countries have been helping Israel in this conflict. You'll understand why here. Iran is in a weakened state. If there was ever an opportunity for Israel to strike at Iran, it's now. It really is. Iran was behind the October 7th attacks a couple years ago, getting their militias, their proxy armies to fight Israel. And it backfired on them. It went bad. Hamas is living on a wing and a prayer. Hezbollah, which was their A team, has been pretty much utterly destroyed. The beeper bombs and all that went on just was a big surprise to Iran. They had no idea how Israel was capable of dealing with their enemy. And so that line through Syria, feeding all their weapons into Lebanon to their proxies of Hezbollah, has now been pretty much closed as well. So it's pretty much the end game for Iran's effort to try to destroy Israel. All they've got is ballistic missiles. And their only hope is creating a nuclear bomb. And they're desperate. They're really desperate right now. In fact, there are reports that there was an earthquake there in the Fordow area where the centrifuges are and, the mountain where they're keeping weapons. And it is speculated. Now, please note, I'm talking about speculation here. It's speculated that they tested a nuclear bomb underground, and which shows that they are capable of sending one into Israel. So, folks, there's no second chance. If they send a nuclear weapon into Israel, there's no fight back after that. And so Israel knows that. They're a small, tiny nation. They have to defend themselves. That's why they cannot afford for Iran to get this weapon. Okay? So now's the time. And what Israel has done has been amazing. Earlier, they pretty much destroyed all the air defenses of Iran. And so now they have air superiority in the country and over their capital city, Tehran. And so they've been after their nuclear sites and they've been taking out as much as they can. Problem is, the biggest cache, the thing that they really need, is in a mountain. And Israel does not have the Moab bomb, the mother of all bombs, 30,000-pound bomb Only the United States can deliver that. It's got to take a B-52 in order to deliver that. And Israel does not have that capability. They need America to get involved to destroy that. And all Iran has to do is attack one American installation of some sort, target it, and America's in. I'm pretty sure. That's my speculation on that. Here's another thing. They've been destroying the IRGC's command, taking out all the links. And here's the issue. Here in America, if you killed all our generals, our enlisted men, they all still know what the same mission is and what their job is and can still function. But in Iran, under a dictatorship, if that type of government, it doesn't quite work the same way it does for us. For them, you cut off some of the heads in these organizations and they cannot function because they operate on a main leader to bark out all the commands, and everybody jumps in line and does it. They really don't understand their job unless they're told what their job is. That's what's happening, and Israel knows that, and they're going after that. And they've been killing them off. And this guy, who's the chief of the army, just replaced the chief of staff for the Ayatollah Khamenei. And he was just killed after being in the job 4 days. Bit by bit, they've been taking out their main leaders and those who are being replaced. How are they able to do it? Because Mossad is in the country. Don't know how many agents there are. Some have speculated hundreds of them. But there are some leaders that have not been killed yet. Maybe these are collaborators working with Israel. We do know that they're getting collaboration from some in the military. But the news is that the regime is cracking. Some have suggested, I was getting some of the feed from people that are in Iran because of our connections, that Khamenei has fled the country, is in Russia. That has not been verified. I don't think it's a true story because they're still somehow functioning. I believe if Israel were to target him and to take him out, it'll be game over for the Islamic Republic. And I think they know that, and that's why they are talking about taking him out. And now we just heard from President Trump as he just came back from Canada, cutting short the G7 meeting that happened over there. He's saying he's not interested in negotiating a peace thing there. He wants an end. He wants a real end. He didn't specify what he meant by that. Now, the media has come out and said what he means by that is a real end to their nuclear capabilities. I don't think that's what he meant. We all see blood's in the water and the sharks are circling. I think we see a real possibility of this being an end to the Islamic Republic, the end of the Ayatollah Khamenei, and the opening of a new dawn there. Now, here's what's interesting about this. Initially, after Israel first sent in their strike in Iran, Iran responded by sending drones, 100 drones with weapons into Israel. Many of them were shot down before they even reached Israel. And they were shot down by Arabs, by Muslims. In Jordan, King Abdullah, their country shot them down. In Turkey, Erdogan, my goodness, he got involved to help Israel in shooting down these drones, and also MBS in Saudi Arabia. That's not too much of a surprise with him, or in Jordan. But Turkey with Erdogan, wow. So the neighbors of Israel are helping Israel. Now, outwardly, they condemn Israel for what they're doing. They're saying, oh, stop it. They need to stop what they're doing. We condemn it. But when they close the door, they are dancing a jig. Nobody wants Iran to have a nuclear weapon. It will bring complete instability into the region. So they're happy to let Israel fight this fight, and they're actually helping them. What if they take them out? Who will become the new leader? It was announced a couple of years ago when Khomeini was very gravely sick and in coma for a short period of time. It was announced that his son would take the reins of being the next Khomeini. And now you need to know, these are Shiites. They are Twelvers. So they have to go through a certain line of their prophets or people who were related to Muhammad. And that's why they wear that black cap to signify their honor of being related to the prophet. The big thing about the Shiites, that the real true caliph, the one who controls and rules is the Islamic world, the caliph or the caliphate, that is the empire. So the emperor must be a blood relation to the prophet. So it's no surprise that it's going to come down through the line of Khomeini, because they believe they can trace their lineage all the way to Muhammad. And these people, what makes them dangerous is that they are fanatics about their religion. As President Isi of Egypt said, they have a death wish. They do. They want to die performing jihad to bring the destruction of Israel. That's their mission. So they're going to fight to the death. It's the only way you're going to bring an end to it. You can't negotiate peace with them, and I think we're figuring that out. You need to know, though, that the Mossad, which is like the CIA, the agents of Israel, have been operating inside of Iran. They sent out drones and had pinpoint strikes. Now, they claimed that they arrested 2 Mossad operatives that were carrying something like 3,000 pounds of weapons and drones, and took them out. We know that they're there because Israel released video of them operating in the initial attack here about 5 days ago. So what happens when he dies, when we come to the end of the Islamic regime, when this IRGC has been destroyed and we come to the end of it all? We will see the entrance of His Royal Highness, the Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi. Reza Pahlavi is the oldest son of the former Shah, King of Iran, back when they were thrown out in 1979. He's been living in the United States, in Virginia, just outside of the Beltway of Washington, D.C., for a number of years. He's now in hiding to keep himself safe, because no doubt Iran would want him and President Trump killed, because they know he will become the next leader. He'll return back to Iran. It's very likely that's what's going to happen. And he has been speaking for a number of years about the people rising up and taking back their country, to bring back peace and order and civility into that wonderful Persian land. And you need to know that the people of Iran are not the villains. They're the victims. Now, I've been listening to Reza for the last 3 years, and he's been encouraging the people of Iran to rise up and to take back their country. And he made that very clear in his recent interview that you're just watching on Fox News. And we're seeing, though, many people of Iran, and I work with Iranians. I've been working with them for a number of years now. We go to Turkey, where the underground church has been coming into Turkey, and we train them in theology and send them back to their churches underground in Iran. And so they are standing with Israel and hoping that with help that they'll be able to overthrow their oppressive government. And we just saw recently little bits of celebration and sending notes online to Israel saying, help us, continue, do what you're doing, take out their broadcasting company and stop the propaganda and all that. And so there have been people protests for decades, but they've been hit hard by the Islamic Iranian government. Like, for example, back in 2017, 2018, there was a protest there because of the economic terrible conditions of the leadership of the country, and 5,000 of their people were jailed and 25 of them were killed. Then they took to the streets again in 2020 chanting death to the dictator, not death to America, but death to the dictator. They were hit hard. 5,000 were jailed and tortured, and 1,500 were killed, never seen again. Then we had the death of Masha Amini, the girl who was arrested because she wasn't wearing a hijab, and she was killed in prison, beaten. That caused an uprising in 2022 by the students. 20,000 were jailed and tortured. 500 were killed by the government to say, you're going to live under our way, whether you like it or not. The people do not like it, and they're throwing off their government. The students protested. The girls took off their hijabs, cut their hair in public in protest, and chanting death to the dictator and so on there. Well, these people simply want life. They want an opportunity. And I think that we're going to see an end quickly to the regime over there. And so we need to pray to that end and pray that this will end as quickly and without more bloodshed and destruction. The United States is positioning themselves to get involved. I don't think we have to get involved much. I just think just showing up to show that we're ready to get involved is probably going to cause the IRGC, the leaders, to say, we've had it. We've had enough of this. We're fleeing. And I think they're going to flee up to Russia, and we may see the end of the Ayatollah Khomeini, or he might flee up into Russia as well. We'll keep you posted when more develops. But next time when we come back, I want to talk more about the history of Iran, or rather Persia, and how it blessed Israel. I hope you'll join us for that broadcast. God bless you.